Hello and welcome to the United Devils YouTube channel. Just reaction to the United Norwich FA Cup clash. I suppose the overriding emotion has to be relief. Crucial late goal from Harry Maguire that sealed the 2-1 win today against Norwich in the quarter-final of the FA Cup, which means that obviously we progress through to the semi-final and a date at Wembley against one of either Newcastle, Manchester City, Sheffield United, Arsenal, Leicester or Chelsea. United made 8 changes for this game, which sort of raised a few eyebrows after they'd returned from the enforced break, playing some nice football with quite a settled team, and obviously looking keen to try and secure the FA Cup this season as a sort of great trophy for Solskjaer to get off the mark with this season. But unfortunately, when you make that many changes, sometimes it does affect the flow and rhythm of a team, and sometimes it makes it difficult for sort of players to connect and to sort of read where each other are going to be and where they need to pass the ball and the movements they need to make. So I was a bit sort of dubious before the game kicked off whether it would be a free-flowing United performance, something similar to what we saw in the league on Wednesday against Sheffield United. But United started the game pretty well, to be fair. Very comfortable possession, dominating the way you'd expect them to against the team bottom of the Premier League. But they dominated, but without a lot of potency. The sort of connections that they usually have with their starting 11, with the likes of Martial linking up with Fernandes, weren't there today as Martial started on the bench. Also, Pogba, who's sort of come back from the break looking good, fresh and in good form. He also started on the bench today, so he wasn't there, sort of helping Bruno connect everything up in the midfield and attack. And I feel like United, sort of struggled to get any momentum going forward. Lots of sideways, backwards passing, quite reminiscent of some of the football we'd played before we came into this run of good form, and it was worrying to see. So both teams went into the half-time break goalless, a fair reflection of what we'd seen in the first half. The second half, both teams seemed to come out with more energy, more urgency, and looking, to get on the front foot, and, much more sort of progression in their passing, much more intensity in the passing and in the play. And it took United just 6 minutes of the second half to string a move together that involved Luke Shaw down the left-hand side, crossing the ball in, and a melee between two Norwich defenders and Mata. The ball pops up in the air, and there was Odion Ighalo, who does what he does best, that sort of fox in the box striker, to poke home the opening goal for United. And people can say what they want about the signing of Ighalo, but that's now his 5th goal in 4 starts. However, the goal didn't seem to do United much good. After they scored the goal, they seemed to play very similar to how they did in the first half, and almost as if they thought now they've got the goal, that means that the game is won. But Norwich almost sort of grew in confidence for some reason. They probably felt that, they just had to have a go at it now. Now United had scored, it had made their job easier. They knew exactly what they needed to do if they were going to stand any chance of progressing in the match. And, they continued to come forward and look dangerous. And, United was just a bit lapsy-daisy on the ball, giving possession away. Like I say, very similar to the first half. And they paid for the sort of lapse play on the 75th minute when Todd Cantwell picked the ball up and hit quite a good swerving shot from distance, and sort of Romero, half unsighted by Maguire, may have felt that he should have done better and saved the goal. The team as a whole would have been disappointed to concede the goal, but Romero in particular would have probably thought he should have saved the shot, and I tend to agree. After that, United sort of picked up the game again, thinking, we need to try and get this done in 90 minutes because another 30 minutes probably wouldn't benefit them, with a game against Brighton coming up on Tuesday evening, and probably would have won it in the dying embers in the 89th minute, actually, had it not been for Tim Closer of Norwich City's defence bringing Ighalo down when he was in on goal which led to the defender being sent off and made Norwich's task even harder. 6 minutes of added time was signalled at the end of the game, and United pushed and probed in that last 7 minutes to try and force a result, but were unable to find a way through. And worryingly for United, they had to go into extra time, as I said earlier, with Brighton coming up on Tuesday. Another 30 minutes was probably the last thing that United wanted, really. The game heading into extra time was there for all to see. It was very much going to be, now with Norwich down to 10 men, a sort of attack versus defence training session, and that's the way it sort of panned out, really. I mean, Norwich failed to create anything in the extra time period, as you would expect, and they saw the prospect of going to penalties as probably their best chance of winning the game, and that was probably their best chance of winning the game before it even started. United sort of continued to hammer home their sort of superiority and one-man advantage, and forced great saves from Tinkerell and shots from Maguire and Bruno Fernandes. Both sort of brought out the best of the Dutch keeper, but he managed to thwart United, and the game was sort of dwindling along in extra time, and it looked more and more ominous that penalties was going to be what it was going to be. But with 2 minutes of extra time remaining, Paul Pogba plays a lovely clip ball into Odion Ighalo in the penalty area, who holds it up well for an on-rushing Martial. There's a little melee between him and a couple of Norwich defenders, and thankfully the ball sort of works its way to Harry Maguire, who's stayed up from the set piece previously, and he's there to sort of sweep home a winner late on and save United from going to a nervous penalty shootout, because they would have been facing a goalkeeper who's renowned for saving penalties, and United, to be fair, over the last couple of seasons have been very erratic when they've had penalties, so a penalty shootout was not something that I, and I'm sure a lot of United fans, were enjoying the prospect of. United have now booked a date at Wembley for the semi-final, and they will find out their opponents tomorrow during the half-time break of the Newcastle Man City game that should be around about 7:15 GMT. The challenge now for Solskjaer will be how he freshens his team up ahead of a crucial league game on Tuesday evening at the Amex Stadium against Brighton. For some players it would have been ideal to get the 120 minutes into their legs, and for others probably less ideal. But United will have to be up for what undoubtedly will be a tough game as they continue their pursuit of a top 4 place this season. That's it for the match reaction today. If you liked today's video, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you'll find more content from the United Devils. Thank you for listening.